All right. It's been a while since we did this, but I hit up Zach Blostein of Noles 24/7 to talk a little recruiting and let you guys get some questions. So this will eventually make its way to YouTube at some point, but live on Spaces today, so people can ask questions and interact. And so, Zach, I appreciate you for hanging out, man. How you doing?
Good, man. That intro music had me a little bit sleepy. It was very relaxing.
There's a few different options for it, and I wish it would just play that softly in the background, like, or you could find like different, maybe something a little more lively, but maybe it fits well for.
I thought you just had like a speaker like next to your phone, just blasting it or something. That's what it sounded like.
Maybe the sleepy music's fitting for where we
Hey,
are.
don't say that.
All right, let's start with this, and people can request. I want to be respectful of your time, but I do want to talk about a couple of different things. Florida State just got to commit, so we'll start there. I want to talk a little bit big picture too, and then on this, class in general. So maybe kind of three different ideas. And if people have questions, you're more than welcome to jump in and request. I'm going to get all my questions out of the way, and then as many people as want to jump in and chat. I'm good with as long as, we don't take up too much of Zach's time here. So we'll see how long-winded I am. So let's jump into it. Florida State just got to commit. Talk to us about a little bit of breaking news that you just kind of threw on the timeline.
Yeah. So he's, Sean Johnson is the new commit. They got 3-star DB out of Maryland. Kind of, unusual for Florida State to be, delving into DMV recruiting. It's not something we've seen them do much of in the past few years, but this is a guy that new safeties coach Evan Cooper went to go see back in January and liked him like in person. So he offered him, and his family's got some ties to the state of Florida. So I think that's kind of what, why it made sense for him to commit. I think he had given word to FSU after making it to campus back in March that he was in, but he wanted to wait until today because today's his birthday. FSU beats Wisconsin and Penn State mainly for his services.
Did he have ties with Evan like prior to, like, was he being looked at by him? Like, is that somebody he knew from coaching up? I mean, Nebraska's not super close to that area, or was it truly just a new relationship beginning of the year?
I think it was a new relationship. I think I remember asking him a few months ago about that specifically, and I think he said it was a new relationship. And this is a guy that Evan Cooper just kind of found out about, went on the road recruiting up there in the DMV during that open period back in January.
I'm sure the guys at X's and O's will break him down at some point potentially. But do you have just thoughts on him? I know the fans will see, oh, he's a 3-star, oh, he's rated this or whatever. Like, is this kind of a project for FSU? Is this somebody that they think is really going to rise in the rankings? Or is it a little bit of an interesting take to take a lower rated DB this early in the year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like a bad take. If you watch the film on him, the one thing that's the unknown is we don't have any like testing for him. Like, we don't know how fast he is and like what his like, every measurement is. And that's obviously important at the DB position. But, on film, I think he's got a lot of versatility. Like, I know the staff feels like he can play both corner and safety. We watched the film too, and to us, it looks like he, obviously they're going to deploy 3 safeties. This new defense is going to deploy 3 safeties on the field at any time. And it sounds like he can play all 3 of those safety positions. So that's the value. I don't think he's like this high level athlete that, is a can't miss in that regard, but I do think he's a really good football player. That's kind of, Brendan did a scouting report, a written one on our site that he just posted here, recently, and kind of basically outlined like, hey, like he plays the position how it's supposed to be played, but there's still that unknown of what his testing and stuff would be, which would, ultimately that's what helps these guys get vaulted into being top tier prospects if you can't flat out tell that they're special on film in that regard.
Hey, I'll get right back to chatting with Zach, but make sure that you are following BetUS TV on all of the social media platforms that you can. They do a great job of covering NFL, NBA, NHL. Obviously, they do college football when that rolls back around as well. You can bet on their website if you'd like, but go check out BetUS TV. We appreciate them for all of their support. Do you, what are your, I want to ask a big picture in a second. And if you guys have questions on this specifically, you can shoot me a DM or you can hit you can hit my mentions and I'm happy to answer any questions or ask questions about this recruit specifically, but just DB class in general. Are you expecting is that where you're maybe a little bit higher on what this class might be? Like, what are your thoughts on just that room with the targets that they have with, guys that you would say are leaning FSU's way? Like, do you expect DB recruiting to be pretty good this year?
I do. With the caveat being like, I'm not trying to discount what they're doing with the DB recruiting, because they've made some nice evals and stuff early on with that position group. But, it's Florida State. So I feel like recruiting DBs is never going to be that difficult, even, after a bad season. But I guess I'm not trying to discount what they've done, because they have done a good job of building that board up and finding some pretty quality, players that have legitimate high interest in FSU. So, yeah, I think they're going to do a pretty good job. I mean, the current roster is kind of, from a numbers standpoint, it's kind of light on DBs. So I could see them loading up, 5 or 6 guys in that, in the entire defensive backfield, especially considering like this new defense requires just more DBs in general. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're in a good spot for a number of these guys. So I could see them closing with a few pretty high level DBs in 2026.